Bati-Bati Book Club.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, those who lie betwixt or beyond, to yet another episode of the Bati-Bati Book Club. I'm your host, the Rick Martell of Given the Marks Hell, Squill, joined as always by Walk. How are you doing, buddy?
Hell. Me? I'm the Walkman. The best Twitter user ever. You're not gonna find a better tweet than from this guy. And you're the Grapple Man. And us, funded by the Yakuza TK Mangs,
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
we are the Bati-Bati Book Club for life. And I'm doing good.
Well, less good considering that. So in between the last episode, which was on the 14th, this will go up on the 20th for reasons we'll enumerate very shortly. But I just want to have a moment of silence for Bryan Danielson, who has graciously ended his wrestling career. And there was the moment.
All right.
I have been working on my next video, which should be up within at least a few days of this podcast going up. That will be the Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston video.
Me personally, I'm hyped. I'm a mark for my own friend stuff.
Which, as I said I think I've said privately, it's gone from feeling like a celebration to like a memorial. I genuinely did not expect him to get retired by the time it came out.
Not a soul was expecting Jon Moxley to murder Bryan Danielson live on pay-per-view.
And yet it happened. I was busy. I made the ill choice that I never will again of being a good boyfriend and not tuning into the pay-per-view instead of having a date night. And I missed Bryan Danielson retiring. So yeah. Never again.
What a fucking moron. Me personally, I'm single. Gives me more time to watch Bryan Danielson get murdered live.
But we are here for a different occasion. There's a reason why this episode, I tend to upload these on Saturdays at noon, because I like that. But this will be uploaded on a Sunday. And what is the auspicious date of October 20th, Walk?
It is the birthday of one Scott Hall, Razor Ramon Mang, the big man.
Of course, Scott Hall is, I think, universally beloved. I don't really think I've ever heard a good reason to not like him.
Yeah, right.
When he was washed, but that's not him as a person. That's just issues that were going on.
Yeah.
But in honor of the fact that his birthday was coming up, I thought it was fitting to watch a bunch of Scott Hall matches and talk about them, because he's another one of those guys. You see this with a lot of dudes who were in the 80s and then less so in the 90s, whose character, larger than life, like sort of overshadows the matches. We were talking about Jake the Snake Roberts last night, who may become an episode eventually. But the guys of that era, it wasn't quite until the Attitude Era until matches started being good on a regular basis. And
no, for sure.
It was spotty at best.
There are a lot of
unwatchable matches there.
Yeah, there are not only one, but two Yokozuna matches on two of these cards. For the record, none of these are the main events, and they are absolutely better than whatever the hell Yoko was cooking up at the time.
Exactly. And these are, our first several are all from the early 90s, when he was sort of in his prime around the IC title scene. As much as I love the Outsiders, and the NWO,
Mm-hmm.
most of the matches were dog shit because it was basically
Yeah.
just them cheating, and maybe it ending in DQ, and so the actual match maybe goes for like 3 minutes.
They're like the House of Torture, but
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, because there was Scott Hall there.
Yeah.
The best version of either one would be if you keep Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, and then you replace Hulk Hogan with Dick Togo, and that would sort of be peak
Yeah.
NWO House of Torture.
Absolutely. That'd be base as hell.
And knowing Dick Togo, he was probably somehow like he was a member of the NWO, it's just been forgotten from history because he is everywhere.
No, for sure. He is him, Taka Michinoku. Like those dudes just get around town.
But I would say Dick Togo is one like a Hall of Fame level bag getter
No,
in
for
terms.
sure.
I was friend of the channel, Romy was talking about how he did an indie date all the way in fucking Argentina, where she's from, and he like was like selling like bootleg Bullet Club shirts because he's just all about that life.
That's so funny. That's so
Yeah,
in character. That's
it's
so big.
you can't stop. You can't stop. Turn off the hustle. You know.
I forget who got in trouble for. I think it was I forget which ref it was, but they were like selling bootleg Raw shirts or something like that, and then they just got fired. That's some next level bag getting, especially from talent.
Oh, I can't. I can't. That sounds familiar.
You
But I
know what
can't.
I'm talking about, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I do.
Comment down below if you know what you're talking about.
We kind of know what we're talking about in general.
Yeah, for sure, but this is a one exception where we don't know what we're talking about. But
But
what? Ooh.
uh,
Uh,
our first match,
hey.
is the most famous match of uh, Scott Hall's career, or at least the most critically acclaimed one.
Mm-hmm.
It famously broke Dave Meltzer's brain, who gave it 5 stars, which is
That had
back
to feel rough for him, especially when he was the Japan guy at the time.
yeah back when unless you were in Japan, you never got 5 stars. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Which is fair, because for the most part, the material kind of stank in
yeah,
America.
well, I mean,
Aside
yeah,
from WCW,
yeah,
which
aside from like Jim Crockett and early like WCW.
who was cooking on that Boyardee with Sting and Vader and shit.
Because prior to this, I'm looking the only stateside 5 star matches are, wait for it, Ric Flair versus Butch Reed.
Who?
Yep. Ric Flair versus Barry Windham.
Oh, well, I think I'm sensing a theme here.
A random Jim Crockett tag match of the Fantastics versus the Sheepherders, real tag teams. Ric
Who?
Flair versus Barry Windham.
Oh.
And then it's just a long list of matches from Jim Crockett. Wait for it, Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat 4 times, 2 just on house shows. And so it's literally just all Jim Crockett matches until you finally get to this match. This was
Pretty
the
much.
first WWF 5 star match.
Which, I mean, as we'll get into, is very much deserved. This match rocks.
Yeah, I
Sorry
don't
to
know
tip my hat
under
immediately.
if under my rating I'd give it that, because this does suffer to some extent of the fact that basically no one had seen a fucking ladder match.
True.
Yeah, so psychotic shit. Like I guess it's just a time and place sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't need the same excuse of aging as like matches where old guys like do like a it's like the 70s and 2 guys do a knuckle lock and the crowd starts cheering and then they hold the knuckle lock for 5 minutes while
Yeah.
they're just like fatly sweating. Um
Dick Murdoch
so
core.
yeah, that's mean to Dick Murdoch.
Isn't he racist?
Is
He's
he?
from the KKK.
Okay, never mind, fuck him.
No, Dick Murdoch is definitely a Hang on. Hang on a minute.
Dick Murdoch. Oh, sorry. He is. I was thinking of Trevor Murdoch.
Oh yeah, well, Dick Murdoch's a piece of shit.
Yes. Fuck. Dick Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch is just unfortunately has been booked a bunch against Tyrus. He's a victim.
He is a victim. Free your boy. But
Yeah.
yeah, Dick Murdoch. Fuck him and the clique he rocks with.
Indeed. The KKK and racism is antithetical to the principles of Noki Friendship Island.
Absolutely, and he will not be going. In fact, he's going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get to the match though, because that's important.
WrestleMania 10. 10
WrestleMania
years
10.
in the making. That's a creative tagline.
Whew.
And somehow this is the second best match on the card, which you wouldn't expect, but it's solely because the opening match is Owen Hart versus Bret Hart.
Oh, okay. Wait,
Yeah,
isn't the main event Bret Hart versus Yokozuna?
Yokozuna. Yeah,
They have two Bret Hart matches?
yeah.
Okay,
Don't
sure.
worry, he had 2 hours to recoup from
Yeah,
honestly the main event is 10 minutes and it's versus Yokozuna.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
Yokozuna isn't going to put you in a 60-minute, thankfully, a 60
yeah,
minute match. So I guess
yeah.
okay, I
So
kind of
putting
see
on
it.
a technical masterpiece, he still had enough energy to do that later on.
Is it the steel cage one,
No,
or
this is
or am I
the
thinking of a
regular one.
different one? Oh, I know which one this is.
It's
Okay,
the best Bret Hart known one because as much as I like the cage match, it does suffer from the old school cage matches where the only win condition is escaping.
which is
And so
dumb.
there's near falls, but it's just like two guys sort of like crawling around for a lot of time. So yeah,
Sure,
that's
sure. I
my.
know what you mean.
I'm sure someone will fight me on that about I don't know.
Somebody's gonna say that the goated steel cage match is Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy.
Well, just the rule set. I'm sure somewhere Jim Cornette just a bead of sweat went down his head that I don't like old cage matches. But
Well, I didn't. I don't think they were all old cage matches were like that. I think that for the most part they were originally without the escape clause. Uh,
it's just there was a particular era of those that just aren't for me.
sure, I know what you
And
mean.
even it continues in the modern day when thankfully they've gotten better at it. But there were a lot of bad cage matches even in modern WWE, which had the same stip. But this is about the ladder match.
This is about the ladder match. Christ,
And
we're on
honestly,
topic today.
there's a lot of stuff that they did with the ladder here that people would forget for years before remembering they could do it again, which
We'll
I
get
think is
back to it
very.
after
And
we get
according to this
to
cage match, this is the first recorded cage match. Although I'm almost
ladder
sure
match.
ladder match. I'm almost sure that somebody did it on a very very local level and they stole it.
Sure, it kind of seems like this is a Memphis idea.
Well, it's just that there's nothing new under the sun, right?
Sure,
There
sure, I know
had
what
to
you mean.
be somebody of if they had coal miner glove match or whatever,
Oh,
it had to have happened. But specifically, the stipulation, of course, is no pinfalls. You have to retrieve the IC title from I mean, it's hanging from the roof.
yeah, two of the Intercontinental titles. I'm pretty sure Shawn and Razor held it at the same time. So they were like, "Well, we can't have this. We're gonna have a match about it," and then they
Mhm.
did. Yeah,
And
they
whenever members of the clique face each other, they go ridiculously hard.
absolutely they do go hard. But first, let's get to the ring attire. My favorite part of the match. Shawn Michaels comes out wearing the most bisexual fit I've ever seen, with as many mirrors as humanly possible.
Mhm.
Hitting 5 taunts before going underneath the ladder, being flanked by Big Daddy Diesel. Is right behind him wearing a silver ass fit, which I guess is supposed to look like a semi truck. Wearing these crazy snowboarding glasses. Shawn Michaels then does a Shane McMahon dance, then begins to strip in the ring wearing some of the best wrestling tights of the era, in my opinion.
They're very
Um,
nice.
they're super sick. Razor Ramon comes out, immediately beloved by the crowd, does the sweet hair flip to the surf taunt underneath the ladder, which
And
Jerry
his hair
Lawler,
is beautiful,
which is great. He has a great mane.
which is rare in this time period. No
Absolutely
offense to
true.
the Hitman, but his hair just looks gross. If that touched me, I would like singe the skin that touched it.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. I don't think his hair is that bad.
It just looks so oily.
It is super oily. I think you could fry up some potatoes with that hair, but
I'm sure it hasn't been. I don't think it's like that dirty, but just the oiliness seems like a fire hazard if
for
Bret
sure.
Hart like gets close enough to the pyro.
Thank God Bret Hart never was involved in a flaming table spot, because I think he would have lit the whole stage on fire.
Also, according to Google, apologies to Dan Profit, the promoter of Stampede Wrestling, who originated a ladder match in 1972.
Of course it's Stampede
course,
that got stolen from.
Yeah, which would mark the last time Vince McMahon screwed over a Canadian.
That sounds well. Speaking of Vince McMahon, he's on. Vince McMahon does commentary. He sucks. But
He's in thoroughly mediocre form for Vince McMahon commentary.
He does like this weird voice that 200% is not his voice.
Yeah.
The Mr. McMahon voice isn't his voice either. But like at least it's fun. This is just kind of like Vince McMahon is trying to emulate what an actual commentator sounds like and fails miserably.
Yeah, at best, he's just kind of fun of doing a JRS thing of just like screaming his head off at the face commentator. But at worst, he's just not great. By the way, I do want to point out in true petty fashion, Uncle Dave Meltzer he only gave star ratings to the this match and the opener of Owen versus Bret Hart. So he reviewed the card, but just all their matches were so bad that he just refused to actually rate them.
Oh, that rocks. I love Dave Meltzer so much.
But finally, our hero does emerge. The reigning defending Intercontinental Champion, Razor Ramon.
He does the flick of the toothpick immediately, which is awesome.
Iconic.
And then Razor and Shawn size each other up. They look at the belts, and they begin their lockup. Shawn manages to kick out of Razor's leg tumbling. Shawn manages to kick out Razor's leg, tumbling him onto his ass. But Razor kicks Shawn to the ropes, leading Shawn to rebound to attempt a hip toss using the momentum. Which, of course, Shawn attempt. I'm really good at writing to counter the counter with a sweet flip, but Razor counters the counter with a nasty chokeslam rock bottom style. It's a sweet.
Shawn absolutely thrives when he has someone like at least half a foot taller than him to just fling him around, and against one of his best friends, he is going to just go wild.
Absolutely, and it's great.
For all of their politicking and terrorizing, the Clique did happen to be, aside from like the Hearts, did happen to be some of the only people in this new generation era with an ounce of talent.
For sure.
If you had to have somebody politicking, thank God it was them and not like Yokozuna.
I think like the only person that stood out as being not of the same caliber in my head is either Triple H, which I haven't seen many of his matches.
Who would then go on to become just a badass brawler, and then whenever he tried to do anything else, it was just mid.
For real.
Yeah.
Or at the time, Diesel was kind of shit. Not gonna lie. I love Kevin Nash, for the record.
There are just not a lot of watchable Kevin Nash matches.
At the time, I think he over time becomes better at, especially promos. He's one of the best promo guys. But at this time, he just was well rounded at being bad. He was just a big dude.
the best Diesel matches are all Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels matches. So just when he was facing the
True.
two best guys in the company, he did good.
For sure. But after the nasty choke slam, Razor picks back up Shawn and punches him, but Shawn manages to run the ropes to a sweet neck breaker.
I love
Shawn,
his neck breaker, by the way. It's an underrated part of his moveset.
he's got a good neck breaker. It was, as I hate to agree with Vince McMahon, but it was a beautiful neck breaker. Shawn tries to pummel Razor in the corner, but he is big manged out and smashes his face into the buckle. Shawn manages to escape, getting his teeth pounded by using Razor's momentum against him, and launches him out of the ring and smashes his body to the outside onto the shittiest mats a high school gym can buy. The mats look like very painful to land on. There is nothing friendly about it.
I also say he doesn't really do it as a big spot. It's just sort of in transition a lot of time. But Razor throughout especially the early segment, he does some great like worked punches. They don't
for sure,
especially of this era. I'm looking at certain hitmen that shall not be enumerated.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Maybe he's just being pretty stiff about it, but whenever he's doing sort of a walk and brawl segment, normally worked punches from this time period are just the worst, especially when they're doing the walk and brawl thing.
Absolutely.
But Razors are quite good.
Razor is perfectly stiff enough to where he is still connecting, but not hard enough to where it's like knocking people out.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hard to knock somebody out by punching them in the chest, but
somewhere below the Stanson line.
Yes.
Or the Stan Hansen line.
Yes. Good measurement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does a good job. Good striking. Razor gets up, but he gets run over by Diesel with a clothesline. I love this moment because Diesel is like seconds away from bashing Razor's head in, but the ref starts yelling for Diesel to leave, leading to the iconic, "Did you see something?"
So ladder matches are no DQ, right?
Yeah. Well,
they're working out the kinks.
They are working out the kinks. I think Shawn was under the exact same assumption because, like, I think Shawn Michaels' plan for this match was that he was going to have Diesel work as his stand and just start beating the shit out of Razor the whole time so he can steal a win.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But you can obviously tell due to the absolute horror he is in when Diesel is ejected. Diesel stomps away like a very angry child, which is pretty funny. And then he goes through the super sick WrestleMania 10 door, where it's like the X, and it like the doors intersect. Honestly, early like this era of WrestleMania has some pretty solid, like
production.
Yeah, pretty solid and fun production. Very early 90s.
In a good way for once.
Yeah.
Also, there's one singular ladder. I just want to point that out.
That is true. I always like maybe there was ladders underneath in case like the one ladder broke. I would assume, but they never get to that point. So there is just one ladder, which is strange.
It looks like they almost get to that point, but yes, they are allowed to maintain the one ladder.
Mm-hmm. The ejection gives Razor enough time to recover and punch Shawn in his unibrow face.
Shawn gets your eyebrows, my friend.
Them bitches ugly. Shawn gets thrown into the corner, leading to an excellent Ric Flair-esque corner bump, where he flips up, sits on the top buckle, then flips back onto his feet. Michaels is really good at doing buckle bumps.
Yeah, well, the early era of Shawn Michaels, especially a little bit before this, he is sort of blatantly a Ric Flair fanboy. So sure. There is a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And like, admittedly so. Like, I've heard him talk about how he was pretty much a more athletic, like Ric Flair knockoff.
No, for
early
sure.
parts of his career. But he is healing it up perfectly.
He's doing a great job.
And the monster babyface like underdog heel can be a hard angle to pull off.
Yes.
Unless the guy getting his ass kicked is just sufficiently cathartic.
Mhm.
But they obviously pulled off great here.
Yes. Which leads to Razor lariating Michaels back onto the ground, which is sweet. I love a good clothesline to ground combo. Not as good as like a Cactus Jack clothesline, but who is?
Yeah.
Razor tears up the gym pads, clearly wanting to hit a sick bump onto there, but Shawn Michaels manages to throw Razor back into the ring. Razor beats the fuck out of Shawn with a right that knocks all of the sweat off of him. Razor goes for the Razor's edge, but gets tossed onto the hard concrete with Shawn's reversal. That was a sick bump. That was gross.
And you RIP to the high school gymnastics team who aren't going to have their mats, because Mania 10 had to have them.
Mm-hmm. They can't do any flips and shit.
No, they're going to be doing them, but onto concrete.
That's fucked up.
Yet another sin Vince McMahon committed.
Classic Vince McMahon, always causing children to do backflips onto concrete.
Well, that would be the Hardy Boys later. Indirectly.
I will say that I think this match did invent the Hardy Boys.
Yes, 100%.
Shawn hobbles over to the first ladder, finally bringing it into play, but Razor punches Shawn square in his jaw. Seems almost a shooty punch.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
Well, that's the best thing about facing one of your best friends is I've said before, like, I've probably talked about it on the podcast before, but I train mixed martial arts when I can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to, like, my primary training partner is my brother. And what's great about sparring with your brother is if you accidentally hit them too hard, they won't, like, instinctively just give you a receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sort of what you have to do, like in the gym against someone you don't know, just to be like, knock it the fuck off, be careful. But similar thing of if Razor, there's a very close, there's a very little real estate below that Hansen line, as we said, of stiffness. And if he does accidentally cross it, going against one of your best friends helps. Because I don't think Shawn is going to do like a flying spin kick as a receipt back to him. I think he'll just take it.
No, X-Pac will.
Yeah, he will.
For sure. I think they do a good job of being just suitably stiff enough with each other to keep it interesting without just turning it into a hockey fight.
As fun as that would be.
It would be fun. I want to see Fry versus Takayama, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon style.
And why couldn't have they just made various NWO matches just hockey fights with Scott and Kev instead of tasers getting involved?
But I can't lie. Some taser spots are pretty funny. They're kind of fun, especially with like the smoke ones. They're so silly.
Not synonymous with good match though.
No, but it makes me smile.
All right.
Isn't that what wrestling's about?
No, only pain.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up.
Yes.
Here's a weird call from Lawler saying Razor gets his prescriptions written in spray paint.
Yeah, that one's like that's sort of like a West Side Gun lyric you got to think about.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Because I could totally hear him saying my prescription's written in spray paint.
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, there you go.
Then the ladder is put into the ring with Shawn Michaels, who then and basement, which is the first inventive ladder spot that doesn't get done enough. It's so sick. Then Shawn
anything with a baseball slide.
Baseball slides are sick. People need to do them more. Shawn Michaels then battering rams the ladder into Razor's chest, along with stabbing it into Razor while downed on the canvas. These ladders are clearly not worked because you can see the Home Depot tag on them.
And they had not quite figured out yet the ways to make the ladder friendlier.
No, so they're just beating the shit out of each other with these like hard metal ladders.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels begins to climb up for the belt, but gets exposed by Razor to have a fat ass.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
But he hits as a receipt. Shawn hits him with an elbow.
Bare ass elbow drop.
Bare ass elbow drop and pulls his pants back up and then hits Ramon with a body slam. Man ass is a classic part of every good match. Ask New Japan. Yeah.
Or Jon Moxley when he weirdly starts to pull his pants down occasionally. Just as some sort of weird, like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe he's trying...
Occasionally, he just grabs his waistband, and, like, it seems like he's about to drop his pants, and then he just doesn't. I don't know if it's just, like, a nervous thing he does.
No, okay, so... That's a really funny... So what I'm imagining in my head is that Jon Moxley in fear will pull down his pants like an animal.
Yeah.
Like you dress a chimp.
It does sound like a chapter out of his book.
No, but like I can totally imagine like Jon Moxley in his head thinking, I'm gonna out alpha him by pulling down my pants and showing my Johnson at him.
Yeah.
I can, yeah, that's really funny.
Probably part of the BCC initiation.
That's the BBC.
It's original.
Yeah, I'm pretty funny.
The joke's never been made yet.
No, I'm an innovator. Like how Shawn Michaels climbs up onto the ladder and then does a splash onto Razor, inventing the Hardy Boys. That
one does not look fun.
No, it looked like it sucked ass. There was nothing that like Shawn held back on. He didn't do any knee work. He just dropped directly onto Razor.
Which is, once again, where it pays off to be a normal-sized man with a bunch of giant friends that you can jump onto.
For sure. Shawn begins to climb up the ladder once again, but gets the ladder pushed on him, causing him to crotch himself crazy style on the top rope. That shit looked like it sucked.
And the selling of it, regardless of how much it actually hurt, is perfect.
Absolutely. It looks... Shawn's very good at selling crotch damage.
Which is a weird specialty.
But god damn it, he has it. There's a double down time, baby. There's double down time. And
it feels earned, especially considering how crazy this shit is. It's a sort of thing you've heard from me in private, mostly talking about like Ospreay matches, is the modern overuse of the double down.
Sure.
I think, because I'm a bit old school in that sense, that I think that when you do that, like the exhaustion or the damage, it should be a turning point in the match. Whereas a modern, as much as I have my Ospreay matches I like, he will do like 5 of those in like a 20-minute match.
No, for sure. I think he's getting better about it now, for the record. Yeah. Now he just does it to signal the bomb throwing segment.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You can do that if you want. Everybody has a different language in the ring, but you know.
Here it's been like 9 minutes, and they've already worked more than all the other matches on the card that weren't the Brett Owen one combined.
Mm-hmm. So, for sure.
No offense to Men on a Mission versus the Quebecers, Yokozuna via Lex Luger, Earthquake and Atom Bomb, Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon versus Dink and Doink.
I don't know what you're talking about. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Dink and Doink sounds goated.
It's a shame because Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon both kick ass.
Dude, I love Bam Bam Bigelow. That dude rocks. Especially when he throws Spike Dudley into the crowd. Hell yeah.
Who's immortal, as you've enumerated.
Well, yeah, he's gonna work. Spike and Darby both have immortality. I'm convinced of it.
But eventually it'll become like a curse, where they just can't die.
True. Spike hasn't aged a day since he got murdered on live TV. So I guess Spike is kind of like Cain from the Bible.
Yeah, I will note at this point is when the ladder starts to visibly break apart. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like pieces of it are sort of once again, as you were joking about the Home Depot sticker and them not knowing how to work it. They also, I'm sure they practiced a bit.
Maybe.
Maybe I guess knowing this era of the click where they're all just all the substance abuse. So maybe.
Maybe they're
Uh,
just crackheads that are having fun throwing each other into ladders. I don't know.
but
And
visibly pieces of it are starting to like break,
for sure.
which is where you hope they had us back up under the ring.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
else what they bring Diesel out and Sean gets on his shoulders to get the
no.
belt.
What they do is that they have Sean do that. They're standing on top of each other, but Razor manages to climb both of them and grab the title.
Yep, there you go.
Come on now. That'd be sweet.
Or maybe just like throw rocks or chairs at the title to knock it down off the ladder. Is that legal?
It's a no DQ. Well, a
Could
no
I get
DQ match.
could I get like a fishing rod and like hook it
That
onto
should
the
be your
title and
gimmick.
pull it down? Yeah, cheating
Going
in a way where
fishing.
it's the like the Airbud rule is my gimmick where it's like, well, technically that's in the rules.
There's no rules against a dog playing basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a
But
man. No, you know what
it
you
does
do? You know what you do is that you get like those like suction cup things they use for like signs
yes.
where they like to put the words up. You use that to get the belt down
Mm-hmm.
because they're all Velcro now.
Oh, there you go.
So you just like hook that sucker on and then you pull for dear life and then maybe you'll get it off.
Fingers crossed. But
Fingers.
this is where it does genuinely start to worry me, even though I know most of these men will complete this match fine. But
Mhm.
like just watching the ladder start to decay is like, oh no.
Yeah, right. Speaking of the ladder, Sean shoves the ladder into the corner, but this backfires immediately as the Irish whip gets reversed, leading to Sean doing a Ric Flair bump to the floor death style.
That's a good way to describe it. Which is to say the worst like version, not in like it is a cool spot, but
Mhm.
like for your health, the worst version of that bump to take.
Why does Shawn Michaels take bumps like this? It looks like he's actively shortening his career every time he does a bump.
But
It's
when he's doing
entertaining.
it from his friends, it's fun.
No, okay, it's fair enough. The boys will be boys.
Mm-hmm.
Razor isn't done when he begins using the ladder to chest bump Michaels, then catapult him into the ladder. Sean hangs on to this ladder that he just got catapulted into for some reason and falls down with the ladder. Ow. Onto concrete.
Yeah,
Ow.
it's
For
just a
what?
compounding of like this match is like 19 minutes. Maybe less than that. I have to double check
Something
real
like.
quickly.
Is it really 19 minutes? I
It's
thought it was
sub
like
20
30.
minutes. 18 minutes.
18 minutes, well, I'll be
47
damned.
seconds. So it's 13 seconds off. Well, it's because of how much they fit into it.
No, for sure.
But like there are like maybe a dozen like Homer Simpson GIF style like things within those like close to 20 minutes.
Mhm.
But it's just ouch.
It's a whole load of ouch. Speaking of ouch, Razor spears Sean with the ladder, not Goldberg spear, like spear. With the ladder. That would be sick though. Then sets up the ladder once more for the climb. Sean manages to scramble up the turnbuckle and knocks the ladder down. They set the ladder back up as they both climb up the ladder to punch one another until Razor tosses Sean off like a rag doll.
There is a bit in most modern ladder matches that make me sad, which is it's a similar reason I don't like it to like the cage matches I talked about earlier, where it's like, oh, he's going up the ladder, oh, he went down the ladder.
Oh my god.
They avoid that mostly because of the length of the match.
Mm-hmm.
But also instead of just getting sort of like pulled off and then they hit one move, whenever someone like within the narrative of this match, when either of them make an attempt to climb it, that is risky because like they eat something horrifying when they fail
Every
to jump.
time.
Yeah.
There isn't a time where somebody gets up on the ladder during this match without getting hit with something horrific.
Or, finally then the win.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like in a modern match where it'd be he gets pulled down,
Even
suplex, then the other guy starts climbing up, and then he gets pulled down, suplex.
even then, thinking about it, even when whoever wins this match, they ultimately do fall off the ladder at the end.
Yeah, it still looks like it sucks.
No matter what, they are getting hurt. The ladder is hurting them.
Yeah, somehow they maintain, despite this being a cartoon sport with cartoon characters, and cartoon logic, this is one of the more painful looking ladder matches where it doesn't feel like cartoon characters getting hurt.
Yeah, right. That might be why it has so many stars.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
there is another ladder match that got 5 stars from Dave, which is Sammy Guevara versus Cody Rhodes, if you haven't seen it. And that one has some cartoon ass spots.
I'm not gonna lie, I've seen like some Sammy Guevara. I don't like to expose myself to him too much.
Mm-hmm.
To fear of growing a panda head or dying of ligma. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Possible.
Yeah. Anyhow,
that one's mostly fun because of the Cody performance. It was
no,
his
for sure.
his last AEW match.
Oh yeah, it is his last AEW match, and there's a bunch of table spots, right?
Yeah, where he just dies is
Yeah.
the what he does.
As God intended.
Which is a very old school way to they say you go out of this industry on your back, or in this case, you exit the company just dying.
Yeah.
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 But as we enter the closing stretch of this, I really love the urgency. There's once again of modern ladder matchisms where the guy's starting to come up and he's like, "Oh, I'm going for it." They're just like, no, it feels like it's survival. Like they gotta go.
Yeah, for sure. My notes devolve into X person tries to climb X thing for a bit, which I'll continue with. Razor climbs back up, but Sean drop kicks the ladder, causing Razor to tumble to the ground. Sean drops the ladder on Razor, then pulls him back up to get super kicked. Sean hits Razor with a nasty pile driver, one of the most fucked pile drivers I've seen in a hot second.
Yeah, pretty fucking bad.
Then begins to use the most creative early ladder spot I've ever seen by falling down with the ladder, riding it like a hobby horse.
Yeah, that's something that you joked about the Hardy Boys earlier, but those TLC matches they'd bring back, but God, is it good even here?
It's so fun. Sean adds insult to injury by setting the ladder up over Sean, but Razor powers up to knock him off again for yet another nut shot to leg hooking combo.
Oh, this foot trap in particular looks fucked up.
This I really like this, like the setup of the leg hook to the ropes. Razor begins to climb up the ladder, with Sean desperately trying to get to Ramon, but in his desperation manages to wrap himself in the ropes again by his arm.
Yep.
Which is awesome. I love that.
It doesn't look contrived. It just looks like he's going gremlin mode trying to get out of the ropes and accidentally does it.
Yeah, right? It's perfect. It's so sick. Razor then finishes the match by tearing the belt down, playing his theme mid-fall for the finish.
And yeah, I love how not majestic this finish is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I feel like the operating thing behind this match, the psychology, if you will, is fuck, and that's how it ends.
It's awesome. It gives a good sense of, as you said, desperation. And it's well paced. It's just a solid match all around.
But desperation in you have to walk 5 minutes to find a place to go to the bathroom kind of desperation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like you're just in your head it's just pain, war, bombs going off. But what's actually happening is just silly looking.
No, for sure. Yeah, that was for the era. This match rocks. This is
Any era rocks, but especially
Yeah.
the era.
this era, especially of the the sheep herders versus the Quebecers.
Yep.
Peak. Who are the sheep herders? I want to know. Hang on.
We want to learn about the sheep herders.
Hang on. I'm kind of curious.
This
Sheep
is important
herders.
research.
This is important research. This definitely will make it into the episode. Well, they're from Stampede.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they're the Bushwhackers.
Excuse me?
Yeah, they're the Bushwhackers.
Wait.
Yeah, they're because they're New
Oh, okay.
Zealanders.
Right. I forgot.
Yeah. Man.
That's weird.
Yeah, I bet you it was like the early time before they became the Bushwhackers.
It appears so.
Yeah. These guys used to be sickos, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm. Although they do have some truly terrible matches.
This is true. Iron Sheik, anyone?
Or just like, yeah, the Nikita Koloff and Iron Sheik match, which is like infamous.
I really need to watch the Heroes of Wrestling.
No, you don't. You really don't.
It's really funny.
I don't think anyone needs to.
But I want to.
Okay, you can do that on your own time. You can do that on your own time. I won't be there.
Oh, okay. That's fine. We could do an episode where only I've watched it and I try desperately to explain to you what happens.
I've heard enough secondhand accounts that I just don't. I feel like it'll make me truly sad in a way I don't want to look at. You know what I
mean? You're just gonna be sinking slowly into your chair with a SpongeBob ass level of sadness.
But Heroes of Wrestling is like the Dark Souls 3 of 80s wrestling. Everything's decayed and just desperately needs to be burnt to death. And like half of the people on the card are dead, and another like quarter are people you wish were dead, and then finally there's the other quarter.
That's a weirdly well thought out example. That's awesome.
Yeah. And well, I guess there's somewhere I left out the piece that of people you're glad are alive, which is Jake Roberts.
Of course,
but it's like it's a quarter people you're sad they're dead, a half which include the Iron Sheik, another quarter people you're very glad are dead, which is like Jimmy Snuka.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But aside from Jimmy Snuka,
the Bati-Bati Book Club does not condone spousal murder.
No,
that's against that.
We're not a fan of that. Thumbs down. Cool transition. The Fink here in Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon, our next match.
And this match is weird, and that we were talking about this. Oh, by the way, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon are on the call. It is good.
They are
finally some good fucking commentary.
Fuck. I needed like a mint after listening to Jerry Lawler be a pervert and yeah.
Did Jerry Lawler comment on the bare ass of
he had to have. But I don't think he wasn't in full Attitude Era pervert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where he will be like, "Oh my God, it's his bare cheeks," and then Jim Ross will talk about the cheeks a little more.
So,
no disrespect to the JR,
of course, we love you, buddy. But this match is interesting in that Scott Hall is limited in his ability. He's not bad, but like there's things he just doesn't do really.
Sure.
But somehow he comes off looking like the better wrestler than Bret Hart in this.
Somehow.
Because what it is that the areas of wrestling that Scott isn't like adept at, he just doesn't attempt. Versus here, we get the aforementioned like Brett strikes later on, or like just stuff like that,
Mhm.
where it just kind of like completely kills any like momentum. But
This match
because
is
he,
too long for what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, it's too long, and Brett sadly never learned there are things he's just not that good at, despite being an overall, all-time great. And it's
Absolutely.
weird because match is shorter than the previous match by about a minute.
Yeah. Really?
Yes,
That's
17 minutes,
nuts. This
58
match feels
seconds.
long as fuck.
Yeah,
Anyhow.
and I think thusly we'll probably end up speaking shorter about it since there's just a lot of stalling. feels
Well,
like.
I have more notes for this match, which is mostly just me complaining about
Yeah,
sunspots. But
yeah.
I can try to zoom
No,
through
it's
this
fine.
match.
I was
Yeah.
how much you would have.
No, for sure. All right. Razor comes out with the gold chains and Crazy Riz with the red fit shades of communist China in his fit. Man, Brett isn't great at promos.
No.
No.
Famously, one of the things he was not, in fact, the excellence of execution at.
He did not.
He is
Well, he kind of
Canadian.
has the execution of a like MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Um,
What, brain damage?
yeah, you got it. The not so
Mhm.
great promo. Oof. Razor has two toothpicks. This is a thing I noticed during our watching. But I
Yeah.
think it's
He has
really funny
backups.
that Razor has not. He has a toothpick to flick at the guy who takes his chains, but
Mhm.
also a extra toothpick to flick at anybody he wants to.
That's
It's
his stand power.
so funny. I love it. But during Bret Hart's entrance, the cameraman gets lost, leading to really poor production value as the camera pans around to the crowd a little bit, and then it gets to Bret Hart running towards the stage. Bret Hart comes out in a fit that, if it was anybody else but Bret Hart, would be gay.
Mm.
But it's Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Which we are not saying this as a negative. I'm just saying
Yeah. In the
Bret
way
Hart
we're
makes this
saying,
gay fit straight.
well, yeah, aggressively so.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Shawn Michaels makes his gay fits gay.
Absolutely. Well, he makes his bisexual fits gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a sign that says Bret walks the razor's edge. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I can't believe the people hate Scott Hall. That's crazy. This is
Mhm.
weird. What's wrong with you, whatever crowd this is, at Royal Rumble 93? I don't think I mentioned that. Is this 93? I don't give a
Yes,
shit.
it's Sacramento, California, which is weirdly pro Brett.
Yeah, right. Well, it's basically in Canada.
Yeah, basically same thing.
Yeah. So Brett does his usual stick where he crowd high fives a little bit. He flexes his sweet belt. Razor is fine with all that, by the way. But when he gives the glasses to the child, Razor is absolutely offended that this happens. Where Razor waddles over to the edge where the child is, pulls out his toothpick and flicks it directly into the child's face, which is fucking awesome.
Can you imagine if
Then
that child was just blinded for life?
that would be awesome. That'd be so sick. Razor Ramon causes child blindness, which is assumably why Brett gets so angry and starts jumping Razor once he starts bullying that child. Razor wins a punch off, but that's a given when you suck at striking like Brett does.
Mm-hmm.
Brett
Should have
gets
learned
thrown
a
to
kick.
huh?
He should have learned a kick.
He knows how to do a butterfly kick. And by butterfly, I mean it kind of floats a bit, and then it touches something, and
Yep.
then it leaves.
Because he did most of what I remember from Bret Hart striking is punches where you got to stomp to make a noise, and then just actual stomps, which look bad.
Yeah. Again, maybe not the most excellence of execution.
This will be one of the meaner things about Bret Hart in general. We still love the Hitman.
Absolutely. CM Punk and FTR would jump us if we didn't say that. But we do in fact love
And
some Bret
Cass
Hart.
Wheeler has a gun.
And Cash Wheeler has a gun, and it's pointed directly at my head for legal reasons as a joke. Bret gets thrown to the corner, and he does a very good corner spot. It eventually gets more painful looking.
Yes.
But the first one is very solid. Which Razor then hits a crazy taunt, Razor Ramon style. I think he does like a stomp or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Razor gets hit in the leg by one of Bret's reversals. So Bret exploits it by kicking at it, causing Razor to bump for it, which is pretty sweet. Because you have to, or else it would look like shit.
And Scott is, for especially guys who are like tall like that of this era, they really didn't like to take like flat back bumps. But
No.
Scott Hall will bump like a motherfucker.
He was willing to bump for guys, and you gotta love him for it. And then he double stomps to the leg, setting up a figure four, which is an awesome sequence. That's sweet as hell from Bret. Very smooth. There'll be another sequence kind of like that, but with the sharpshooter. Super sick. Bret begins to spam leg damage by pulling and tearing at it, which rocks, and I am a big fan of. I like midway through watching it, I thought that they began to work the wrong leg, but he does a good job. He works the right leg the whole time.
Yes, he does. A running thing between our watch parties are the fact that there's a revelation that most figure four leg locks you see are working the incorrect leg. If you actually look at the anatomy of the leg lock, and you see how they always sell the straight leg,
which makes no sense.
Which, yeah, theoretically, if you look at it, the leg that's bent is the one that's being cranked, and sort of like an ankle lock looking thing. Not Kurt Angle ankle lock, but like shoot ankle lock sort of deal. So just next time you look at a figure four leg lock, just pay attention to that, and it will ruin your enjoyment.
It is a fun game though to play when you're watching a match.
Yes, it is.
Is it really supposed to be a lot like an ankle damage thing?
Well, no one. It's similar to the sharpshooter in that no one can decide what part of the leg it hurts.
See, in my head, it's the bent leg is getting like it's a shin, so he's trying to like break it in half.
Yeah,
because
people will sell the knee, they'll sell the shin or whatever. Like
as long as it's the right leg, I don't really care.
Yeah,
but
it's deeply funny regardless.
No, for sure. Bret Hart then does his classic fucked up leg post spot. Where you drags a dude over. A part of what I like about Bret is that he's just the right amount of edge in his work. He's not like super white meat babyface. Like kind of outside of the ring he is, but inside the ring he does some pretty nasty stuff, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's the wrestler in him. Then that post spot happens. Bret attempts to reverse an Irish whip, but it backfires. Bad, leading to him busting his ribs on the post. He kind of does like a baseball slide to prevent the momentum into the corner, but he completely breaks himself in half.
It's still gross looking.
It looks fucked up, which is great that Razor begins to work those said ribs that just got smashed into the post. By doing rib breakers.
What a man.
What a bastard. Breaking his rib, doing rib breakers. Is that what they're called? I don't know. That's what it is basically.
I don't think there's quite a name for what he's doing there, which is just called "fuck your ribs."
Yeah. And then slamming his ribs onto a post. Razor is super charismatic with how he does like elbow drops, where he does this shit-eating grin and then slowly falls down. It's so fun.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of fun.
Brett also does an excellent job of selling, where he kind of like tweaks out a little bit every time he's hit. It's pretty fun. By the way, we don't talk about commentary very much, but Bobby does a great job of razzing Stu Hart the whole time, calling him poor and saying that he carries Bret Hart's bags for him.
It's pretty fucking awesome.
Bobby is a really good commentator because he'll just talk shit the whole time, and it's great. And he'll call himself smart all the time for pointing out obvious things about a match. It's so good. I love Bobby.
He is just, man, his commentary is so much fun, and like you said, a good breath mint to what we heard before.
For sure. It just reminded me of something Gorilla Monsoon said during this match. Is like Bobby was doing some razzing of Stu Hart, and just Gorilla turns over to him and says, "I'm gonna knock you out."
Yeah, Gorilla is a non-entity a lot of the time, mostly because like he's normally paired with guys who are talking a mile a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever he does actually like butt in, it's normally pretty fun.
He's like, at first when I was watching like a bunch of like matches of this period, I was like, he's kind of fine. But he's a pretty solid like play-by-play guy.
And he once wrestled Giant Baba.
Buttons of humor. Yeah, at the Budokan. Question mark. Yeah. Bobby does some razzing, but there's a brutal back body toss, which I think is what that move is called. From Razor, but Brett manages to but that leads to a pinfall, but Brett manages to break free with the ropes, which Razor gets really upset with. And then there's an awesome corner bump, leading him to super rebound on his ass. He does the way that he takes a corner bump is like in a cartoon where when someone gets hit in the face with a rake.
Oh, absolutely.
But like if they're getting tossed into the rake.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet. And then speaking of something that's sweet, but not really, here comes the wrist spot part of the show. Where there's the abdominal stretch that kind of looks shit. It's Razor applying it.
The abdominal stretch is mostly just a lazy octopus hold, is what I'll say. And that octopus hold looks good.
Eventually, Scott will do an octopus hold. Not during the next match, but he does it like once in the final match we'll be talking about.
And that looks pretty good.
And it looks good. It looks a lot better than his abdominal stretch, which is lame.
Which, yeah, they only ever look good in context of, like, because he's huge. So, if he occasionally, he's not great at affecting the idea that he's cranking the abdominal stretch, but occasionally he's able to sort of capture that.
Mm-hmm. The way that Razor kind of remedies how shit his abdominal stretch looks, like he'll occasionally like batter the chest during the ab stretch, like during this match.
Yes.
Sheamus style. Not as hard, but yeah. But yeah, he starts working over the chest, but Brett manages to reverse the abdominal stretch to his own abdominal stretch. But thankfully, Ramon hip tosses him out of it, so we don't have to deal with any more of that.
No more.
Razor tries to go for a sweet elbow drop, but he manages to Brett manages to dodge out of it for a shoulder check, knocking him to the floor for a 2. Razor begins to batter at Brett. Gorilla and Bobby start beefing on the mic much harder now. But what they should be talking about is when Brett like spikes himself onto the mat.
Yeah, gross.
It's gross. It's not nice. Brett does a pretty good crossbody after that for a 2. Brett does a rare move, which is a sunset flip. You don't see that often.
You really don't.
To a flip where they start doing. I've noticed that Razor Ramon kind of has a spot where he does the 1-2 flip over 1-2. It's weird that it
Yes.
happens twice.
Yes, it is.
And then another wrist spot, the camel clutch.
Woo!
I fuck you. Brett tries. They eventually get out of the camel clutch. But Brett tries to rebound into Razor, but the most based submission in all of pro wrestling is here. Are you ready for it, Squill?
Yes, I am.
Are you pumped?
My body is ready.
Are you ready
I was born
for the
ready.
bear hug? The bear hug, baby. Yeah! Yeah! It's so based. He holds him. He holds him. He holds him. And he keeps on hugging him. And he hugs him. He hugs him some more. He hugs him a little more. He hugs him.
Yes, he does. And that's
He
about
hugs
it.
him. Oh, and then Bret Hart bites him on the forehead.
Oh, thank God.
Which is awesome. We're finally free of that devastating maneuver. But then Razor is in complete pain and he's shocked and all that, and he's like walking over to the side. But Brett does a tope, which is rare.
Yes, especially
for this era.
Yeah,
in America. Which is sweet. Which is honestly a very solid reward for having to deal with like 3 rest holds. Razor is doing a great job stooging during this match, by the way.
Oh yeah, he sells like a motherfucker.
He does a great job being.
He is not a selfish worker,
heel.
which is so many guys of this era were.
Yeah. I mean, he was willing to put over X-Pac during that one match.
Yes.
Which is sweet. Love that for him. He has to kind of stooge for these weak-ass punches.
Yes, he does.
Razor is out on his feet from that devastating offense and gets hit with one more dangerous feather punch to a bump into an inverted atomic drop to clothesline combo, and then a great backbreaker, which is pretty sweet. And then an awesome clothesline from Brett, a sweet bulldog from the corner, a sweet Russian leg sweep. Honestly, some great offense at the end of this match. Kind of comes out of nowhere, if I had to state an opinion.
Yeah,
but the sharpshooter is attempted, but Razor tries to run for his life, gripping up the ropes, only to be able to break the hold by dropping the ref on top of Brett. Is the only way he's able to break out of the sharpshooter, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun counter.
Razor sets up Brett on the turnbuckle, but Brett rolls out of it for a backdrop suplex to a not great elbow. Getting thumb to the eye by Razor sets up for the Razor's Edge, but Brett manages to slip out of it for a sneaky pin for a 2. And then, are you ready for another great submission? I don't know what to call this fucking move. Are you ready for another one?
I was born ready.
Peak. A test of strength. A test of strength, baby. Shades of the best match I've ever seen. Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God it ends quickly, though, as he gets Irish whipped to the corner. Or maybe not, brother, because there's another test of strength. But they do a fairly good job of doing, like, kicks and stuff like that. It's not like they're holding it for, like, 5 million years.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's mercifully short.
Mercifully short is a great way to put it. Thankfully, Brett manages to do some great lucha grappling. Very Hechicero-esque. I'm sure Hechicero was very much inspired by Bret Hart. By flipping him onto his back for kind of a sit-out powerbomb position.
Yeah.
Flipping Razor on his ass. But this is merely a setup for the sharpshooter. And it's an excellent ending with him hitting a sharpshooter, and it's pretty cool.
This match to a shaky match.
This match is,
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Considering the amount of talent considering the amount of talent in the ring, it is underwhelming.
For sure.
But it's interesting with what I was talking about that somehow there are more moments in which Bret Hart looks like shit than there are with Razor, even though Bret was undoubtedly the better worker at the time. But it's just because of how smart Razor is on how he chooses his game plans and what moves he's going to choose to do.
For sure. Does a good job. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Solid match. Fine match.
Maybe you don't need to go out of your way for it.
Yeah. But a match that you surprisingly kind of have to go out of your way for, is our next match.
The next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick Martel versus Razor Ramon.
This one is delightful.
This match is weirdly based. It's not like crazy, but it's pretty good.
I mean,
and I recommend it.
It's 10 minutes. He wins the fucking IC title. Spoiler. Randy Savage and Bobby Heenan are on commentary counteracting Vince McMahon. It is quite a bit of fun.
No, for sure. To start off my notes, I say, "Ooh, pretty lady." I don't know why Raw does that, but they put a pretty lady holding up the little card. That's fun. And then, oh yeah, Macho Man. Oh yeah, he's here and he's doing commentary, and I'm happy. I'm throwing my arms in the air. Oh yeah. Of course, Macho Man loves Razor Ramon. Love that for him. But Rick Martel comes out in the smacked ass fit of the night, wearing this shitty butt ass sequin jacket and like this bow tie.
Yeah, looking like a male stripper.
For sure. He
like
is
a budget one. And I will say, you make fun of him, but that's also the point.
He's supposed to look like a smacked ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who looks fucking amazing is Razor Ramon.
Oh, Razor Ramon is killing it, wearing his Sunday best in his leprechaun-esque dual-wielding toothpick fit.
And I like his taunt he hits on the when he's on the apron, where he just sort of looks like he's having a full body seizure.
Yeah, I almost if I'm thinking of the right one, it's kind of Batista-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
It looks sort of like he's like shadow boxing on meth.
Just yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel you.
And he has to take off a some comically large chains, of course.
Takes off somehow the more babyface he gets, the more chains he gets.
Yeah.
Which seems wrong, but it's cool and I like it. He takes off the chain, he flicks the toothpick. Martel hits a belt taunt.
Procures a second toothpick, of course.
Of course, it's a stand. I think he can spawn as many toothpicks as there are specs in the universe. Razor takes off the chain, flicks the toothpick. I just said that. Martel hits a belt taunt on the middle rope to the crowd. And for some reason, I had said that as if he would ever hold a title, which isn't true. Rick Martel is currently the guy holding the title. I do my research ahead of time.
Yes, you do. And he won the match multiple times.
Razor flicks a toothpick into Martel's mouth, which is pretty funny.
God, it's one of those things where it's like he's just probably trying to get it in the direction of his mouth, but the accidental precision of it is godlike.
For sure. It is. I mean, you'd hope that over time Razor would be able to get better at his flicks, his flick-ups, if you will.
And man, the opening of this, like, say what you will about the brand of heel, I would put Martel in the QT Marshall, Miz sort of class of heel, but he's maybe the best version of that.
Yeah, he is very much a proto Miz,
but so much better.
not a high bar, but absolutely passes
Well,
it.
what I love about him is the weird sense of physicality, and what I mean is when like Razor starts throttling him, he like reacts in like a really realistic manner of just
Mm-hmm.
the way that he like sells it. Of whereas the Miz just sort of cartoon flails when he starts getting throttled. Martel looks like he's genuinely trying and genuinely getting his shit fucked up.
For sure. For sure. Um, especially in some like at the beginning of this match where there's a collar and elbow tie up.
Well, before
Where
that, even before that, they just push each other a bunch.
yeah.
And Martel, like, he pushes him first. He goes for the eye a little bit, but when he gets
Mm-hmm.
pushed back, clearly he had told Scott to just actually like shove the fuck out of him, and it does
Mm-hmm.
look so fun. That's
It's
what I
pretty
mean by
great.
the sense of physicality.
Mm-hmm. I was not expecting them to set up like actual like submissions, like standing submissions at the
Yeah,
start, which is pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that. But
there's a really good duck under with the hammer lock, where Razor is trying to reverse it, and he sort of like he like jukes him of like which direction he's gonna turn. That's a
mm-hmm,
really fun one. He does
it's
it
pretty
multiple
cool.
times as
Mm-hmm.
they go back and forth.
Yeah. But he manages to score a toe hold onto him and slaps the back of Razor's head and then hits a jumping jacks taunt, which is
Which is just
hilarious.
yeah, like 1 minute in
Yeah, as if
that
he's absolutely dominating him.
for
Um,
this era, 1 minute, that's a lot of cardio.
no, for sure. He's also weirdly athletic.
Yeah, that's
Um,
another reason why he's the best version of the Miz or QT Marshall. Because he
he's
has
like way.
hops.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, he
Especially
does
when
a
he gets
corner
10.
buckle spot where he like does this kind of push up motion, like launching himself out of the corner to
Mm,
dodge one of Razor's offense, which is pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and just
Um,
in general, whenever he gets whipped into the turnbuckle, he gets some major air.
no, for sure. Uh, but he ends up getting thrown to the floor, bashing his head.
It
Um,
looks fucked up.
it really does look fucked up. Uh, striking master Rick Martel does some Muay Thai knees and then manages to get Ramon into a chokehold Diamond Dustin style.
It's
Uh,
kind of fun.
it is fun.
I also like
Uh,
when he just tries the guillotine choke him.
yeah, that's what I was talking about, Gilly style.
Yeah, it's
Um,
well, but specifically the way he does it is he's just sort of thrashing him, and he importantly does not pull guard.
true, true, spitting.
I didn't know the guillotine was something people even. I'm sure they're calling it something stupid like a front headlock or something.
No, you
Uh,
must be thinking of the front chin lock submission.
thank you, thank you.
I speak fluent shit ass pro wrestling submission.
And then another time he's weirdly athletic is because that sequence ends with him getting taken to the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But then Razor pulls him, quote unquote, back into the ring, but he just basically does a full front flip back into
It's
the ring.
awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, if I remember, well, Martel has him in a submission, and he
Mhm.
like Ramon breaks it by carrying Martel over to the ropes to have the ref break it up.
God, it's so much fun.
It's so inventive. I've never seen that before.
And also about halfway through here, you get how because the Martel's strategy, if he truly has one, aside from the
Be a
submission
dick.
specialist that he
Mm-hmm.
um, is to constantly he's going with those standing submissions you're talking about, where he's going with arm ringers
Mm-hmm.
or um, hammer locks. But what
Yeah.
Razor does to combat this, because he's sort of because Razor reverses them with like a good amount of skill. But
Mm-hmm.
what's evident to me is not that Razor couldn't reverse it anymore, is that he gets annoyed at having to reverse it. So he
Yeah.
starts just pulling him in and just bashing his shoulder with his own shoulder with
Yeah.
for a standing shoulder tackle, and it's pretty fucking awesome.
He absolutely big mangs the guy the whole time.
It's just I don't know. It's just the good shit
It is good
of
shit.
this era of pro wrestling.
Absolutely. It's nice to have some thought in a match.
And then there's something I don't even know what you would call it, but it's a choke slam. But if you're choke slamming the arm, which is another time in which Rick Martel is crazy hot. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I know what you're talking about.
He grabs his bicep, and does basically a choke slam. But if you were trying to work the arm,
I guess you would call it an arm bottom.
yeah.
That's all I got.
But there's some like surprisingly good limb work from Razor.
Absolutely. He does a great job for it.
And I love when it's sort of an abdominal stretch, but when he specifically he figure fours the arm around the guy's tricep in a way that looks like it might genuinely hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Just good little detail by him.
Razor's just a solid, surprisingly subtle performer.
By the way, would you believe me if I told you that Rick Martel has a match versus Jumbo Tsuruta and it's good?
That is awesome. No way.
Okay, at some point I'll have to show you it.
Can we do a Rick Martel episode?
Yeah, fuck it.
That'd be awesome.
We're a bunch of old school guys.
Rick Martel might be the GOAT. Underrated legend.
Well, he's just a great. I don't know about legend, but he understood the assignment in a way that I don't think other people did at the time.
And if you're gonna ask for anybody for something during this era, that's a good thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
And then Martel manages to let's see here. This is during an era of like televised wrestling where they didn't know what to do during ad breaks.
This is true.
So crazy shit can just happen off screen. Like now Martel and Ramon are brawling into like the outside, which is just happening.
They teleport.
Yeah. Martel then hits him with a sweet body slam onto the high school mats, which looks fucked up.
It really does.
Then a sweep back suplex back into the ring, which Martel does a powerbomb fold up onto Razor. Using the ropes as assisted, which is awesome. A fun little cheat there. I note specifically that Martel is doing an awesome job.
Mm-hmm. We'll put some respect on his name for at least for this match specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was an AWA boy.
Oh yeah.
And there's just a lot of shit that fell under the radar, mostly because they were working the territories after the territories were already dead. They just didn't know it yet.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And that's when he got a lot of stuff in, like his match versus Nick Bockwinkel, which is quite good as well.
Then Martel actually is a submission genius, where he does a Boston Crab, a devastating maneuver that works something to a rope
Either
break.
the lower back or legs, depending on who you ask.
Depends on if it's a Walls of Jericho or not, I guess. I don't know. Question mark.
There's also a really funny part where he like sort of it looks like he's about to go for an angle slam, which made me happy.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, holy shit, are they going to invent the angle slam?
Not really.
That'd be cool though.
It would.
But they do rope break out of the Boston Crab. Ramon does something I've never seen, which is power out of a crab, leading to a count trade, seesaw style. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it is genuinely inventive.
Mm-hmm. Razor sets up Martel for a load of nothing, but Martel does a crossbody, which gets reversed to a 2 count. I didn't know that Razor had a spot where he does a backdrop suplex on the top rope at the time.
Well, also, the backdrop is one of Martel's moves.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But Razor does do it as a spot normally.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's also just stealing his move.
Yeah, for sure.
As one does.
They are doing a really good job working here, is what I note in my notes. And then The ending is pretty sweet, where Martel is not cooperating on the Razor's Edge. So Razor just big mangs him and muscles him up for the Razor's Edge and just completely murders him. Drops him directly onto his neck. It is so fucked up.
And
It is so sick.
Yeah, it's glorious.
As Macho Man screams out loud, "He just broke his neck!"
But approvingly, because it's Macho Man.
Oh yeah. And then the match is all done. And Razor Ramon is now the IC champion.
And I don't know, I would just describe this one as effortless joy. You know what I mean?
It's a fun match.
It's not a masterpiece, but I smiled so much watching this. You know what I mean? Like just they did a little thing. Oh yeah, it just made me happy.
It's like eating mac and cheese.
Yeah.
It's the mac and cheese of pro wrestling matches. And if you like mac and cheese, you'll like this match.
And the Bati-Bati book club is pro things that make people smile.
Absolutely. Only on the Friendship Island.
Mm-hmm.
Are you smile? What the fuck am I saying? Anyways,
on to our last match,
which is
another one that makes me grin a lot, even though it's not much of a match. It's more of an angle.
Yeah, for sure.
Where are we going? We're
going to Japan, baby. We're going to have a match between Scott Hall and... Hang on, let me check my notes here.
It's a young lion who never went to go on to achieve anything, right?
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
Sounds like a bum. Anyways, this video is coming from the best channel ever, which is NWO Wolfpack TV 2016. I'm a big fan of yours.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
And he calls this match Scott Hall versus Japanese Young Lion.
Mm-hmm. Which is accurate.
And which is true at the time.
Yeah, no one really... I mean, I'm sure there are hardcore fans of New Japan who are following the Young Lions. But yet no one knows who this guy is.
For sure.
To the crowd, especially compared to Scott Hall. But essentially, for context, he was building to a match with none other than Budo later on. Because this was the year they did the G1. Scott Hall, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And built on to a match versus him. And so here Scott Hall is going to basically use a match as an angle, and it is just it's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by mentioning Scott Hall's attire. He comes out to the sweet song I've literally never heard before, but it's pretty sweet. It's fun. He's wearing his Wolfpack outfit.
Hell yeah.
Which has the words "click" on his shorts and "Lone Wolf" emblazoned on the back of the vest. It's pretty cool. I think he has a match in his mouth.
Possibly.
Just copyright away enough, I guess. Hiroshi Tanahashi looks weird in this. He has this fucked up haircut. I don't know how to describe it.
He's not quite the beautiful man he would go on to be.
No, it's not the Tanahashi I expect. Very much a young lion. Scott Hall wants to do a handshake, but Tanahashi rejects his offer.
Ooh.
Absolutely. I mean, Scott Hall is a lovely boy. But Scott Hall does not take this lying down by flicking the match and toothpick in his face.
How dare he?
This is intense. Scott locks up and then does some Indian burns into a shoulder check, to a slap combo to the back of the head, which is pretty fun.
Very fun.
A lot of this match is pretty much just Scott Hall big manging on Tanahashi, which is pretty fun.
But in just a way that, like I said, I think the word that I just think about is joy, with how he's working here.
Mm-hmm.
He clearly, Tanahashi seems like he's having fun. Because Tanahashi is overselling to a point of you can tell that Tanahashi is nervous as fuck. And And so, because he's in here
Mm-hmm.
with Scott Hall, who I read a little bit of Tanahashi's talked about this match since then, and he talked about what a massive fan of Scott he was, and so this
Aw.
is him just like he's like it's like not quite like a Michaels Hogan SummerSlam levels of overselling, but like
Mm-hmm.
Tanahashi is like I am dying whenever he does that because he wants to make sure in no way could this be construed as disrespect. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's really cool. He actually does a great job of selling the abdominal stretch that comes along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we get that
Uh,
aforementioned sort of thing where he figure fours it on it and starts cranking
mm,
it, and it does look like he's torturing him.
yeah, for sure. Uh, Scott does. Scott has obviously enhanced his game over time,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Even if he's kind
Uh,
of washed at this point, he's
yeah,
become a smarter
physically,
worker.
yeah.
He's become a much smarter worker.
Mm-hmm. Scott stomps Tana's head and carries him to the corner, swatting Tana's chest with a fierce chop. That bitch was loud. That was intense. It's a good one. Scott does the ab stretch to an octopus hold, which sounds great. Not only because Tanahashi is screaming at the
Yeah,
top of his lungs, um, but just Scott is doing a great job by making it look painful.
absolutely.
Uh, yeah, just a good job. He's been able to level up his shit. Uh, Scott Hall is being a real bastard by putting him into the corner to set up for a top rope back suplex, which is messed up.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scott hits the outsider's edge taunt and puts Tana into the position, smashing him into the canvas. But doesn't immediately go for the pin and asks for the mic. I have it written down here, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. Go for it.
Hey, Muto, KG, if you ever step in the ring with Scott Hall, this is gonna be you. And as that happens, Tanahashi runs over and rolls up Scott Hall for the 3 count.
Oh, it's perfect. It is
It,
like just comedic timing. Like, oh, he knows what he's doing so well.
it's so good. It's such a silly little match, and I love it. Um, I I think this match is more exemplary of like Scott Hall is not gonna like he's willing to be jobbed out a little bit to not necessarily jabron. To Tanahashi isn't a jabron. Well, at
A
the time, technically,
future non-Jabron.
yes.
Well, because it's like
Um.
within the company, I'm pretty sure at this point, like he wasn't officially one of the new Three Musketeers weren't invented yet.
Mhm,
Um, but I assume if he would go on to be that Inoki sees potential in this kid, we're
mhm,
just like getting the job to Scott Hall is an honor in of itself. So like, there's a reason he's made it to this point, right?
for sure.
But yeah, he's not necessarily someone the crowd are shouting Tanahashi,
Yeah,
Tanahashi.
he's not.
No,
He's not. He's not a big dog yet.
hmm
And that is Scott Hall.
it might be a little shocker here. Do you recommend Scott Hall?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I
Yeah.
like this guy.
As a man, as a worker,
Mhm.
all in between. What a just man, I'm sad I never got to meet him.
He
Because
would have been awesome. He
I,
seems sweet.
I've had the pleasure of I did very briefly meet Big Kev at a Comic Con, which was deeply funny because my local Comic Con is mostly like anime kids,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like so Big Kev is sitting at like a little table, just like selling like like 8x8s or whatever that he's signing,
Mm-hmm.
and has mostly just a bunch of kids dressed as like fucking like Demon Slayer characters or something walking by him, and while he's just giant. As I'm walking by, I am dressed as Hal from Hal's Moving Castle, a Ghibli character. Um, and out of the corner, I flash him the Too Sweet.
That's
Uh,
based.
yeah, and he like I sort of see him do like a look, and he does it back, and that was the how I met Kevin Nash, and it is a core memory of mine.
I'm imagining like he hits the. I'll send the GIF of like Kevin Nash pulling up the eyebrow, and smiling. Is the image that's in my head. This one specifically.
Yeah.
He
No,
does the smirk.
it was more of a surprise, and then he just sort of instinctively put it back up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was hilarious because like I think there was like two like throughout the con there was maybe like a few like older guys in NWO shirts.
Mhm.
But just the fact that a kid in a dressed as an anime character threw it up, he was not prepared for.
Mhm. Yeah. He. Yeah. Love it. Love that story. Big
But
fan.
if only I could have gotten the pleasure to do the same for surprising Scott Hall, but we are so much worse without him.
Mhm.
And hopefully this podcast will be a good thing on his birthday.
Absolutely. It. He probably, if he was still around, if he saw you pull up the Too Sweet, he probably would have flicked a toothpick in your face.
I could only hope.
If only. But yeah, that was Scotty Hall. I'm just taking a walk.
Mm-hmm. And I am Squill.
And we are Bati-Bati Book Club for life.